Hi, my name's Andrew, and today we're gonna REKA Thanksgiving gusher meatballs. Yeah.
Gobble, gobble.
I've been thinking this whole past week, how can I give you something that's completely unique and different using the classic quintessential Thanksgiving flavors? This is what's happening. We're gonna create a turkey stuffing gravy cranberry sauce meatball gusher. So that when you bite into this thing, Thanksgiving explodes in your mouth.
An explosion of flavor!
So here's what you're gonna need. We have some fresh celery, fresh Italian parsley, fresh sage, thyme, and rosemary, some cranberry. There's two different ways you can get cranberry if you're buying from the store. You'll get it in a can of jelly or actual chunked fruit. We want to use the chunked fruit. I also have a tablespoon of cornstarch, 2 tablespoons of regular flour, 3 eggs, 1 yellow onion, some rosemary salt from an earlier episode, 2 cups of turkey or chicken broth, depending on what you want, some olive oil, 3 pounds of ground turkey, and of course, a cornbread, which you can see in one of our previous episodes, made for the stuffing. What we're going to do first is we're going to make the gravy and we're going to freeze it.
I put gravy on everything.
So I'm going to take some olive oil and some flour. We're going to create a roux. With that, I'm going to add in some bacon fat. I'm going to add some of the broth in, and then we're going to thicken it with a little bit of cornstarch if it's needed. That's going to create a gravy. That will then go into some ice cube trays. That will freeze. In the meantime, once that's freezing, we'll begin to bring together our meat mix. Now we're going to bring together our dressing meatball. So let's get started. We're going to take care of all our wet ingredients. I've also previously, since we started the video, I sliced this cornbread in half and I baked it because I want to get rid of a lot of the moisture. We want that to be dry and crumbly. We're going to put that through the blender here in a second so that we can get it really fine. Trick to the trade. Now that's all blended. We're going to take our knife and I'm going to start blending herbs. We don't want big chunks because we're dealing with a small meatball, so we don't want to have half of a celery sticking out the side. So we're just going to do very fine cuts now, and then we're going to blend it so that the flavor content is in the meatball. Bring this in. I don't need to wash it out. It's going to all just go into the same bowl. My Italian parsley. We're going to just bunch this up real nice. That's going to go in there. Blending now the celery and the Italian parsley. Now I don't want to turn this into a paste, so I got to be very careful. What I can see, we're doing pretty good. Yep. That's really what you want. It hasn't turned into a paste. You have that perfect texture. Next, we're going to do some onion.
And onion.
So I'm simply going to cut that into 4 pieces, stack them in here. Perfect. We've got a little bit more of a paste on this one. There's a lot of fluids in onion. That doesn't really matter too much. There we go. Pretty good consistency there with not too many big chunks. I think we're heading in the right direction. Moving on to our herbs, I'm taking my rosemary stalk like this, and I'm just going to have everything on my chopping board. I'm going to chop all the herbs together. We have some fresh sage. We're going to do exactly the same with the thyme. I'm just going to hold the stalk and I'm going to pull backwards on it. That's exactly what we're looking for right there. I'm just going to push that all aside and I'm just going to start to chop real fine. I'm looking for any major big stalks that came through that got missed. And there we have our chopped herbs, nice and fine, which are just simply going to be herb bade. That's fire, dude.
I'm working some very unstable herbs!
Taking some of our beautiful rosemary salt that we made in previous episodes, I'm just going to add a little bit of that in. I want to get that goodness in there. Before I add the egg, I just want to get like a decent mix. So the egg is going to act as a binding agent. So I want to get it mixed reasonably well before I add that binding agent in. Okay, mixing our eggs in. I just want to, force of habit, I always pop the yolk first. It's going to help, like I said, bind. We're going to leave this to sit for 20 to 30 minutes to let all the flavors marry through. It's just something I like to do with these types of dishes. It just helps the end product to just have that much more reflected flavor. We're going to leave this sitting for 20-30 minutes in the fridge. While we're doing that, we're going to check on our gravy and get ready to assemble. Let's get it. It took several hours to freeze the gravy ice cubes because all the fat content, which I wasn't actually planning on it taking that long. So let's get these out of the mold right now. Got all of them. And I mean, it looks like caramel, doesn't it? That's just honestly amazing. They've lightened up a whole bunch.
It was Werther's original.
I'm going to take each one and hopefully Yep, we've got a relatively gracious cut on some frozen gravy, and these are gonna be the golden nuggets of goodness in the middle of these meatballs. I'm gonna take a Ziploc bag, I'm gonna put these straight back in the freezer as they are, so that way I can pull them out and I can keep them at that core cold temperature right up until we make these meatballs. I have my entire production line set up, so I'm gonna take a pretty healthy amount of meatball meat. I'm actually gonna squash this out. This isn't the way you make your average meatball, so just pay attention here. I'm literally just loading up a pretty solid amount there, right like this. I'm gonna take one of the gravy balls, and I'm gonna take slightly lesser but equal, well, a little bit more, amount of the cranberry, like so. And I'm just gonna start to pinch, almost as if I'm making like a Chinese dumpling bao style. And I'm going to wrap that up until I have a nice large meatball. They've got to be big because you've got that huge gravy core in the middle. I'll make sure that everything's pinched off really nice. Okay, and just give it a slight roll. This is going to be amazing. I'm just going to very delicately, I have 2 eggs that have just ever so slightly been whisked here. I'm going to try and get that form back again. Now the stuffing that like super dried stuffing that I have whizzed in my magic bullet. Now we have almost like that stuffing, Thanksgiving stuffing style panko coating. I'm gonna roll that, and the egg is used to bond that. So now I have an epic looking Thanksgiving meatball. So I'm gonna start smashing these out now. We're gonna do these as quick as we can, and I will be back in a second to start cooking all of these. Let's get it. I have all of these giant gusher Thanksgiving meatballs ready to go, and I'm gonna now start cooking them in this peanut oil, which I'm bringing up to a medium-high heat on top of my induction stovetop. Just gonna start to get a light little simmer. Depending on how quickly they start browning up, I'm wanting to give these probably 4 or 5 minutes of cooking time, because we have that frozen gravy on the inside and we want it to melt. So we don't want to cook this too quickly. So you got to be careful. There's a fine balance between the crusting and the browning on the outside and the coming up to temperature on the inside. Some of the biggest meatballs you've ever seen. They're almost like meat battleships.
Excellent!
Yeah, see, that's perfect right there. Keep a close eye on these. You can just smell Thanksgiving cooking. It's kind of really nice. Pulling my turkey Thanksgiving meatball out, I've rested it for a little bit. I finished them off in the oven because I wanted to just make sure that I had it well rounded and cooked all the way through. Let's go in and check out what we've done. It's Thanksgiving, somebody. Oh yeah. Dude. Gravy, grave!
Yeah, boy!
So you can see there the cranberry, our epically melted gravy, the turkey with all the herbs. This is Thanksgiving in a meatball, guys. Shall I taste this? I think I shall. So you can see all of the cranberry, the gravy, all the juicy gravy, the vegetables, the herbs, the turkey. Let's go in. Happy Thanksgiving. I just had a Thanksgiving dinner party in my mouth. That is amazing. You've got all of the cranberry, all the flavors that I've just described, they're all there in one bite. Guys, this is an amazing and very unique way to do Thanksgiving. I highly recommend that you do this even around the festive season to get yourself in the Thanksgiving mood. You should be thankful all year round and not just on Thanksgiving in November. Anyways, guys, God bless. I hope you have a wonderful time with your family, your friends, or a Thanksgiving meatball on your own. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you again next week. And look out for our new snacks coming soon. Bye.